For the 2024 NFL offseason, the Lions have a number of positions that they would like to upgrade, but this one might be one that's being a little bit overlooked, but is probably the most key position that the Lions have to figure out a long-term solution for. Stay tuned, everybody. We're about to talk about it.
We used to be a team no one respected. We used to be a team no one feared. That was then. This is now.
First victory of the year on the line. Goff's got it. Back, looks, throws, end zone. Yes! Caught!
You know who we are.
10-5, end zone, touchdown, Detroit Lions!
And you know where to find us. We won't be far. We'll be on your front porch waiting for you. We are the New Era Lions. And
we are driven by Detroit.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to yet another episode of MCM Motor City Mania. I'm your host, David T. Pike, and as always, we're diving in. But before we dive on in, again, I just want to say thank you all to my loyal fans and subscribers that keep coming on back to the show. It really means the world to me. And to those that are tuning in for the very first time, again, want to say thank you all for giving my show a shot. I hope you all enjoy the content, but even more so, I hope to gain your subscription if I've earned and deserved it. And with that being said to everybody, I just want to say, hope you're all having a great day. God bless. And let's get into the content here. So, here's the thing, folks. This offseason for the Lions and for Brad Holmes has a lot of stuff riding on it. And I have no doubt that Brad Holmes and the Detroit Lions are going to find solutions for the various problems that a lot of Lions fans are feeling that this team needs to address, needs to fix, needs to upgrade. And the reason why I don't have a problem with this offseason, why I don't see there being a problem, is because if we take a look at Brad Holmes' track record, over the last 3 seasons, Brad Holmes has become one of the most prolific GMs in the entirety of the NFL. He has an impressive resume through his draft picks. He has found a lot of good value in the free agency market. I mean, Brad Holmes has easily become a top 10 NFL GM just over the last 3 years because of how he, Dan Campbell, and a bunch of other people have really transformed and turned around the Detroit Lions. Now, obviously, what Brad Holmes has gotten the most recognition for has been his draft picks. And those draft picks have put the Lions in a great position, and the future for the Lions is looking great for a lot of years to come. However, though, as I have said at the very beginning of all this, the Lions roster is not finished because there are definitely a couple of areas where the Lions could stand to have an upgrade. And if you think about it, for a lot of Lions fans this offseason, it's all about improving the defense particularly because we want to get the pass rush better. We want to get the pass defense better so that way we can try and freaking limit and stymie quarterbacks from absolutely tearing us to shreds next year. And I believe that Brad Holmes will improve those areas. I truly do because he would be foolish not to. But there is one other area that I believe Brad Holmes can no longer ignore, and he has to find some type of a long-term solution to, and he has to find it in a damn hurry. And that position is the kicker position. Yes, I know, the kicker, special teams, it's not a glamorous topic. It's not a topic that a lot of people want to talk about. But we have to be serious with ourselves here. This is a position that for the Lions, we have either had a feast or famine experience with. Because if you think about it, let's go back to the early 1980s all the way up to 2012. We had probably some of the best kickers in the entirety of the NFL because we had guys like Eddie Murray, and then we had Jason Hanson. And then after those two were gone, we got Matt Prater. The Lions have had a really great experience with having good kickers. However, though, despite how blessed we've been with kickers over the last, 4-something decades, we've also had problems with kickers, and we're having a hard time finding the next long-term solution. And when you think about just how great the Lions have had the last 4 decades about this, think about this. In 1980 and 1991, the Lions had Eddie Murray. And then after 1991, in 92, we drafted Jason Hanson in the second round, and Hanson would remain the Lions kicker till 2012. So think about that. 1980 to freaking 2012. That right there is a substantial, long period of time that the Lions never, ever, ever had to worry about a kicking problem. That's 31 seasons that the Lions were like, hey, we're set at kicker. We don't have to worry about that problem. And then as soon as Hanson retired, Then we started having the problems that we're starting to have now. We went through a freaking myriad of kickers trying to, replace Jason Hanson. We went through the likes of David Akers, Alex Henry, Nate Freese, and then we got gifted with Matt Prater, who got released by his team, and we signed him, and then for the next 7 or so years, he kicked for us. And then Matt Prater left in 2020, and now he's with the Cardinals. And once again, the Lions are in this position where it's like, we don't have a reliable kicking option. In fact, you want to think about how bad it's been for the last 3 seasons for the Lions? We've tried 6 different kickers in the last 3 years. Think about that. 6 different kickers in 3 seasons. So now, more than ever, just from that perspective, Lions fans want this to be solved. But another reason is why Lions fans want this to be solved. The reason is Dan Campbell. Now, understand what I'm about to say here. Dan Campbell is not necessarily a problem in regards to this whole situation. But let's understand something. It is one of the easiest things to know that Dan Campbell has by far and in large been the most aggressive coach in the NFL, especially when it comes to taking risks on 4th down. Now, I'm going to say this. I don't have a problem with that about 85 to 90% of the time. However, though, it has been raised that the Lions are partially the way they are in terms of going for it on 4th down because they lack a consistent long-range kicking option, and that's rather the reason why Dan Campbell goes for it, rather than just the fact that, well, he's willing to gamble all the time. And specifically where this is coming from is the fact that when Campbell had the ability to kick from like 50 yards or longer, he will typically go on 4th down for it more often than he will actually sending out the field goal kicker. And this specifically goes back to the NFC Conference Championship game where there were 2 times on 4th down where Dan Campbell could have elected to kick the field goal, given the field goal kicker a chance to at least, add some points to the board, but rather he decided to go for it on 4th down. Now, obviously, there's been much to do about that whole situation. The players have come out, they've defended Dan Campbell's decision, and you know what? That's fine, great, grand, and glorious. But to me, it's like, okay, if we're being honest here, if we're being 100% logical and serious, if you have a kicker that you trust in and you kick those field goals and you take the 6 points, you're now looking at a 3-point victory rather than a 3-point loss. So again, there is a reason why I'm saying what I'm saying here, because had those field goals been taken and converted, the Lions could have very much gone to their first potential Super Bowl. That right there is a very big point. That's a very big reason why we're having this conversation. So because of these reasons that I'm talking about, Brad Holmes absolutely must find a long-term solution to this kicking position and find stability to the position that has meant a lot to the Lions' ability to win games in the past. Now the question obviously is, which way do Holmes and Campbell go this offseason? Well, there's only 2 options. You can either draft one or you can go free agency. So let's consider free agency really quickly here. I'm just going to be honest with y'all. Free agency this year, there is not a lot of good options. There's very slim pickings when it comes to the kicking options. And in fact, I've taken a look at what free agents are going to be coming up as far as those that don't have contracts being renewed, and virtually none of them are better than the one we've already gotten, Michael Badgley. And honestly, we have to think about this as well. The last couple of years, specifically the last 2 years, you have to think about the going back and forth that we've gone through with kickers. Because first and foremost, we released Michael Badgley, and then we signed him back, and then we traded for Riley Patterson. Riley Patterson became the kicker, and then we released Michael Badgley again, brought Michael Badgley back, and then Michael Badgley won the job. We released Riley Patterson. Like, dude, we just went through a literal just back and forth between Patterson and Badgley the whole year. And it was just like, okay, here. Fans are they've had enough. They're just like, listen, we just want a simple, long-term solution. We don't want to go back and forth and try and figure out who's the best guy every freaking year or every couple of months. So for me, it's like free agency is probably not going to be the option that is best pursued for trying to find a kicker. In fact, this is where we kind of get into the main part of the episode here. The best option for me, surprisingly, is the draft. It's not free agency. And this is where we're going to get into it. The best option for the Lions, in my honest opinion, is to draft Stanford kicker Joshua Carty. And he is widely considered not only the best place kicker in the draft, but he's considered one of the best place kickers that has come out of the draft in a long time. Now, I know this. The idea of drafting a kicker might sound a little bit strange to Lions fans. But again, do remember, like I said earlier in this episode, Jason Hanson was drafted in the second round in 1992. And just to point this out here, the 49ers drafted Jake Moody in the third round in last year's draft. And Jake Moody was a guy that a lot of Lions fans, particularly this one, wanted last year. So it's not exactly a crazy idea. Now, some people are going to be like, okay, David, fine. But why Joshua Carty? What's so special about him? Here's why he's so special. First and foremost, in 2022 and 2023, he was a first-team All-American as a kicker. In 2022, he was a finalist for the best NCAA kicker in the NCAA. In 2022, he had a game against Arizona State where he was 5 for 5 on field goals and was the reason why Stanford won that game against Arizona State 15-14. In 2023, in the Colorado game, he scored the game-tying field goal to force overtime against Colorado and Deion Sanders' team, and then kicked the game-winning field goal in double overtime to win the game 46-43. His longest field goal in the NCAA was 61 yards, which was done in 2022. And think about this one, folks. In 2022, that was the longest field goal of the entire year. It was even longer than Jake Moody's 59-yard field goal. In fact, what I'm going to do here really quickly is I'm going to show the highlight of that kick, so that way you guys can see it. Again, the game was lost in this game because it was against the Cal Bears and they were already going to lose, but they decided to send him out there to kick the field goal, and he nailed it. So just take a look real quick. So, there's the kick right there. And then the last two reasons that I have is number 6 is this guy is a very similar build and, style to Jake Moody. Plus, on top of that, he has better stats than Jake Moody from college. But we'll talk about that in a minute. And the final reason is he's from the Pac-12. Now, why is that an important reason for me? Because it's the exact same conference that Jason Hanson came from back in the 1990s, because Jason Hanson played for Washington State. And I'd say Jason Hanson did pretty damn good for us. Now, don't you? So, those are my reasons right there. But again, you all know that's not the only stuff I'm going to bring forward in this episode. I'm obviously going to bring a lot more. So, Jake Moody was a guy that a lot of us wanted last year because, hey, he was from Michigan. He was a great kicker for them. Everybody wanted to get Jake Moody. So let's take a look at Jake Moody's stats from college really quickly here. I'm going to show you the extra points that he made and attempted, field goals he made and attempted, and then the ranges that he made and attempt those from all the way from 20 yards out to 50-plus yards out. So here you go. This is what Jake Moody did in college. He was 100% on extra points. No surprise there. On field goals, he was only 82.1%. On field goals from 20 to 29, 95.5%. From 30 to 39, 88.6%. From 40 to 49, 76.5%. And then from 50 yards out, only 40%. So, let's understand something there. Jake Moody, when you're talking about from about 39 yards or in, he was almost automatic. But as you got further and further out, it got much more difficult to gauge whether or not he was going to get it. I mean, again, 76% at the 40-yard range, that's not bad, but that's also not good. You'd like that to be in the 80 range. You'd like that to be at the 80% marker. But again, there are a lot of people that wanted Jake Moody in last year's draft because they were like, hey, this is a guy that has the leg, he has the ability to get the ball out there, he's a guy that could really help out the team. So, okay, I kept that in mind when I decided to take a look at Joshua Carty. Take a look at Carty right now. First and foremost, Carty is 5th all-time at Stanford when it comes to field goals in his career. He has 51. He holds the record at Stanford for most field goals in a single season with 23 at Stanford. He's tied the record at Stanford for most field goals in a single game, 5, as I said earlier. He also holds the record for career-high field goal percentage at Stanford with 85%, and also for a season in terms of field goal percentage with 100%. And here's where we're going to start taking a look at the individual statistics per each thing, like I did with Jake Moody. So here are his stats. When it comes to extra points, he's 98.6%. He missed 1. Field goal percentage, 85%. So he's 3% better than Jake Moody. 20 to 29 yards out, 100% better than Jake Moody. 30 to 39 yards out, 93.8% better than Jake Moody. 40 to 49 yards out, 95.2%. Way better than Jake Moody. And then field goals from 50 yards are out, 53.3%. Almost 15% higher than Jake Moody. Now, here's a reason why I want to focus on the 50 yards are out and also the 40 yards are out. First and foremost, Jake Moody at 40 yards are out was only at 76.5%. This guy's at 95.2%. He missed one field goal from 40 to 49 yards out. That is damn near automatic. But take a look at the field goal percentage from 50 yards or out. That's almost a 50% difference between Jake Moody and Carty. And you want to know what Jason Hansen's record was for the Pac-12? Because it's still a record today. The Pac-12 record from 50 yards or out, held by Jason Hansen, is at 57.1%. So this guy is kicking at almost the exact same level of percentage, from 50 yards or out as the legendary Jason Hansen. So think about that. Now, speaking of Jason Hansen, I just wanted to say let's compare him to the college statistical area of Jason Hansen, and then let's compare him to what we saw out of Jason Hansen in the NFL. So when you take a look at Jason Hansen in college, it was not actually all that pretty. His extra points were at 96.5%, but his field goals were a putrid 65.3%. The reason why he was such a big name coming out of college was because of how well he could kick the long ball, not necessarily because of his consistency. But anyway, we all know the Lions drafted him in the second round. Now take a look at Jason Hansen's stats from the NFL. He was 98.8% all time in extra points, 82.4% in field goals. So that's actually pretty much where, Jake Moody's kicking right now. When it comes to field goals that were from 20 to 29 yards out, it was 97.8%. When it comes to 30 to 39 yards out, it was 93.9%. From 40 to 49 yards out, 73.1%. And then from 50 yards out, it was 55.9%. So again, the numbers that I'm trying to show here is that in college, Joshua Carty had better numbers than Jake Moody has. And if you want to realistically compare Joshua Carty's college numbers to Jason Hansen's pro numbers, in some ways, his numbers are either on par with Jason Hansen's or they're better. So it's like, okay here, this guy really intrigues me. This guy has definitely got something that I want to take a look at. Now, some people are going to state that entrusting a rookie with kicking duties is a bit of a huge gamble. But I would like to remind everybody that that's something that the Lions are used to doing, and also that's something that Dan Campbell likes to do quite a bit. And the reason why people would call this a gamble is because rookie kickers have a bit of an inconsistent record in the NFL. But again, let's consider some facts here. The Lions' best kickers, both, Eddie Murray and Jason Hansen, were both drafted and started as kickers for the Detroit Lions. And we had 30-plus consistent years with them. So that's number one. Number two, consider last year in 2023, the NFL had 5 rookie kickers who did the following. The best rookie kicker was actually for the Dallas Cowboys and Brandon Aubrey, who kicked 94.7% on all of his field goals, and he was actually perfect from 50-plus yards out. Jake Moody was the next best, who was 84% on all of his field goals, and he was actually, not that great from 50 yards or out in terms of the regular season, but in the Super Bowl, he converted on 2 field goals from 50-plus yards or out. So there's that. Then the next couple of guys you had were Anders Carlson, who was 81.8% and 3 of 5 from 50 yards are out. Then you had Blake Grupe, who was 81.1% and 6 of 9 from field goals 50 yards are out. And the worst rookie kicker that was there was Chad Ryland for the New England Patriots, who only kicked 64% and was 50% from 50 yards or out. Let me put it to you this way, folks. If Carty can do better or similar to Aubrey or Moody, the 2 best rookie kickers last year, then I would say he's doing just fine in the NFL and will be in good hands. That's point number 2. And then point number 3. Let's understand something here. Let's consider how both of the main kickers the Lions have done for the last couple of years have done. Michael Badgley. In the last 2-3 years that he's been around with the Lions, he's only kicked at 85.7% of field goals all time for us. And he was 2 of 3 from 50 yards or out. Riley Patterson was a little bit better on overall field goals at 90.3%, but he was only 1 of 3 from 50 yards or out. So again, if you consider Cardi's college stats, it isn't that hard to think that he would do better than both Badgley or Patterson, not only in terms of volume, but also in terms of quality, such as the long-range field goals that a lot of Lions fans want to see from a field goal kicker. So when you look at the stats, it definitely looks like Cardi could make it in the NFL and should be a serious option for the Lions as a potential long-term solution to the kicking conundrum. Now, I know this for a fact. Again, some people are going to be like, but David, do we really want to trust a rookie kicker to, the Lions potentially going back to back to the conference championship game, making another playoff run, making it all the way to Super Bowl? Okay, fine. Draft Cardi, keep Badgley around as a veteran experience, and then let Cardi come along slowly until he's proven he can handle the job. You can do that too. All I'm simply saying here is this. If you're looking for a long-term solution, Joshua Cardi to me is the best option that you've got because there's not really anything in free agency. I really don't want to go through another trading carousel with Riley Patterson, Michael Badgley again. So it's like draft a kicker. The last 2 times the Lions drafted kickers in Murray and Jason Hanson, it worked out excellent for the Lions. That's my whole point. But anyway, folks, figured I'd put this episode together. Figured it was something that needed to be talked about. So, having said all that, I'm now going to end the episode and say thank you all for watching another episode of MCM Motor City Mania. If you liked what you saw, by all means, I highly encourage you all to watch the next episode. Also encourage you all to do one of these 3 things. Like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. If by chance you subscribed in the past, you forgot to do so at the time, or you just subscribed and not had a chance to do so, again, please subscribe. It really helps out my channel. But I also want to encourage you all, please, to make sure you turn on that bell notification icon as well, so that way you never miss any more content that I push out. Again, subscription numbers are always going up, but we want to make sure we turn on the notification icon so that way as soon as I push something out, you guys can get right back into the fun of watching the content. I also encourage y'all to please do this. Share the content with your Lions friends and family members. Share here on YouTube, share it on Twitter, share it on Facebook, share it anywhere and everywhere you can with everybody and anybody that you can. The more we share it, the better the channel spreads, the better the channel grows, and that helps out the channel immensely. So again, I'm thankful for every share as well as every subscription that I can get. And with that being said, to everybody, I just want to say I hope y'all enjoyed the content once again. Hope y'all enjoyed everything that I was able to bring in this show. If you guys liked it and you guys became subscribers, thank y'all for doing that. It really means the world to me, and welcome to the MCM family. If not, hopefully I'll get you on the next go-around. But until that time, I just want to say, everybody, God bless. Hope y'all are having a great day. And until the next time we meet, I'll see y'all in the next episode.
Thank you.